manifesting, and we're going to immediately hop into the most important things that dafids needs to know about their energy. So today, this experience is going to be divided into two different parts. So dafids, what you need to know about how you say your yes and no is part one. And then part two is brain candy. So part one actually consists of two different things that you need to know. Your choice mechanism is what we're talking about. Okay, before we even start any of this experience, one word that you need to hear is your type. So dafids, you are a manifesting generator, and we know that in the astrology world, we hear titles like Gemini, Capricorn, yada yada. Well, over here in the human design world, you are a manifesting generator. We aren't supposed to explain to you what that means on the intellectual sense, but you're just supposed to hear it because your DNA really does resonate with this. So dafids, if you're ever talking about human design with somebody and somebody asks you, what are you? You say, I'm a manifesting generator. That's what I am. And more specifically, you're an emotional manifesting generator at that. Now, why do I say this stuff, manifesting generator, and not explain it? It's because you are here to just hear those words and just understand that they exist. We aren't here to explain or educate what manifesting generator means on the logical sense, but trust you me, when we talk about your whole energy, I'm incorporating it into what it actually means to be a manifesting generator. So, all right, part one is understanding how you say your yes and no, dafids. Why would you say your yes and no? So that you can allow your purpose to flow through you without getting your brain involved. So, dafids, you have a two-part yes and no choice mechanism. And it doesn't matter if we're talking to dafids or anybody else here watching or rerun. Anybody's choice mechanism is a strategy in inner authority. So it's always a two-part mechanism. Sometimes we can clump them together as one, but it's always a two-part mechanism. Strategy and authority. So we're going to be talking about two different things here. What is your strategy? What is your authority? I know this is jargon, but long story short, it just is like, what is your choice mechanism? What is your energy doing? What is your or what are you doing for your choices? Remember, once again, if you are making correct decisions for you and following those, then you are allowing your purpose to flow through you. Instead of trying to force what you think you should be doing with your energy. All right, so let's pop into what it is to have a strategy to respond. Well, we can talk about that for like 10 minutes, so pop your ears on open. Responding means that you have this or sound that is in your gut, or you've been given these gifts like a baby. Like when a baby likes something, they say, ooh, ah. Or if they don't like something, they're like, eh, and they like push it away. So, you are gifted with these sounds. Now, I have said before that people sometimes are deconditioned away from these sounds because society deems it as incorrect to say or so you need to say your yes and no. Now, I believe you were born in a different country. I don't know if English is your first language. So I don't know if there is that, those sounds, what sounds you make as your, like, what are those sounds for you? So, excuse me. So what can a response sound like again? Well, it's like all of those gut sounds. When people say follow your gut, you do have that. Now, waiting to respond, it could feel like this contraction or expansion in your chest, or I don't know, or like from your navel to your chest. I'm not too sure how you might feel that, but like I said, sometimes people are conditioned away from understanding who they are as a person. Because when I was a kid, my parents would slap me and say your yes, say your no. It's incorrect to say uh-huh or uh-uh. So I was deconditioned away from it, and I didn't really understand what it meant to hear my own gut sounds. So dafids, if you have people around you who can ask you questions like your favorite food or your least favorite food, so you can really understand what your gut sounds like, or your guttural response sounds like, that's a good way to get acquainted with it. Now, when we're talking about a response, we're not talking about dafids asking themselves a question. You're not asking yourself a question inside your head to yourself and answering it. That's not a response. That's not. And if you're asking something about your head, or if you have an attachment to the outcome, you can always consider that getting your brain involved. So responding, I mean, you could have these bodily functions that you need to respond to, like sneezing, picking your nose, going poop, eating. You do have these things that you respond to, like internally, like those things, but that's what's supposed to be responded to. Like externally is where you get your responses. So like life is coming at you, people, places, things, or experiences. So you are here to be engaged with things on the outside to respond to them. So I am a person who doesn't have a lot of external stimuli. I have my fiance, my 2 cats. And so, a person may ask, well, do you have a lot of things to respond to? Of course I do. I mean, when I just needed to blow my nose, I did. My cat just sneezed on the ground twice and it just distracted me. I responded to doing a 24-hour stream. I responded, and nobody asked me to do a 24-hour stream. I just responded. Like, I've always wanted to do one. And I finally just responded, yeah, it's time. I responded to bringing my cats back into my room. I responded to smoking dope during this stream. I responded to putting on my man's shirt that belongs to him. I responded to giving my man marijuana when he asked me for it, instead of saying no. There, I didn't like overly check to see where his quantity of weed was and be like, oh, do you want my weed now? No, I didn't do that. So I just let life come to me, I guess. But it's when we're waiting to respond, I'm not talking about stopping life and disengaging. You are a person who seems to engage with life anyways. You feel like putting a tune together, you do. You feel like shuffling through your computer, you do. But so it's not stopping and disengaging with life, but you got to go out and go take a walk to see if there's things that you might respond to. You have to go get your food to go cook groceries and or cook your food. So you got to get up and do that. You don't need to wait to respond to life in order to do that. Go do it when you need to. It could cause frustration, but responding to when a perfect timing is for you is better for you to go do those. But, it's what we're talking about when we say waiting to respond. We're not stopping life. Dafids, we're actually waiting to interrupt the conditioning or the programmed behavior that we've learned over our life. So that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting so that our programmed behavior stops. What we would normally do, we're not doing it. We're just waiting to see what our aura is going to respond to as you engage with life, because you're not disengaged. You're waiting, you're pausing to see what your energy is actually doing. Is it saying aha or So let me rephrase what part one of your saying yes and no is. So once again, we are understanding what your strategy and authority is, your aha and your because if you follow that, if your body says aha and you follow that, then you're allowing your purpose to flow through you. And if your body says and you follow that, then you're allowing your purpose to flow through you. And if the answer is and you don't act on it, that's fine, because you really don't know. It's just not the proper timing yet. So you are a person who is here to respond to life. Now, you're not asking yourself questions. Dafids, do I want to go and shoot archery across the road? That's no. Maybe you peek outside one day and you're like, oh, that looks amazing. And then you just like walk over there. No. So that's how it is. It's like you don't ask yourself if that's something that you want to do. You just like respond and you just do it or not. So if you're using your energy and your aura correctly, then you are allowing your purpose to flow through you. So your purpose is your incarnation cross on the screen. And so if you're using your energy incorrectly, or if you're trying to force your energy, so instead of waiting for life, you're just initiating what you think you need to do to be in control, then there will be frustration. So if you listen to your energy, you're going to let your purpose flow through you. But if you don't listen to your energy, you're going to be in frustration. Okay. So, Dafids, I'm going to ask you, where are you frustrated in life, my love? Those are the different places in your life that are indicating that you might be a step off of or not in alignment with your purpose because you're frustrated. What is not happening correctly for you? What can change about that situation so that you will have a sense of satisfaction, or so that you are using your energy correctly? You wait to respond. You interrupt what you would normally do. And then we go to your inner authority. This is your emotional solar plexus. So I just want to make sure I have a good summary of strategy. We gave an example of what a response is. It's not you asking your own question. It's external things happening and you responding to them. It's you waiting for life to happen because your manifesting generating aura pulls things towards you in life. So you're a magnet. People, places, things, or experiences are going to be pulled towards you. And it is for you to respond if you want to do it or not. But you need to gain that inner authority, the emotional solar plexus, to see if you actually want to do the thing. And you're like, what does that even mean? So what is inner authority? This is part 2 of your yes and no process. So emotional solar plexus, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. Emotional doesn't mean that you're this emotional person that has these, up and down experiences all the time emotionally. No, you're actually a person who understands your emotions in a quite fixed way. Many, many fixed ways, actually. So I just wanted to say, just because it says emotional, it doesn't mean anything like that. That's what's fun about human design, all the words that are misconstrued. So anywho, your solar plexus is your inner authority. 50% of the world has their inner authority as their solar plexus. So 50% of the world has to do what I'm about to tell you what you need to do. Well, your strategy was wait to respond. So you're just like stopping, you're waiting to see what your aura has to do. And then your inner authority, emotional solar plexus. Do you have the clarity? That's what that means. Do you have the clarity on what you're about to partake in? So once again, I don't have this colored in or defined. I have it undefined, white. And so I can only give you examples or book definitions of what this is, like from other people. So, what does it mean to have your solar plexus defined 50% of the world? Well, it means that you need to wait to get clarity. So, what is clarity? Clarity is like 70% clear. If you're like 70% clear on something, apparently that's darn clear for you. So, 70% clear is awesome. Now, what is clarity though? Clarity is like emotional clarity. So, it's talking about not jumping into something when you're super excited. And it's not talking about like, sorry, you're not going to jump into something super excited. You're not going to jump into something when you're super angry or frustrated or whatever. That's what clarity is. You're waiting out a little bit of that emotional wave to see if you can make a decision with neutrality, like with no emotions involved. But if that's not possible, try to get your 70% clarity and see what is most clear for you. You're not going to instantaneously commit to something. That is literally the opposite of your energy. Literally the opposite of your energy. So if you're trying to instantaneously commit to something, that's not you. Dafids, you need to wait. You need to stop and wait and tell people to stop and wait as well. So clarity is not about jumping in when you're excited. It's not about hopping out when you're angry. It's about waiting to get clarity on what you should do next. Are you 70% clear? Cool. That's awesome. What does your energy tell you to do? Or Did you move through it? It's saying clarity is like moving away from the ask or the experience a little bit in a timely way. So like sleeping overnight is like a suggested like minimum for you to get clarity on something for life decisions. Now, talking about clarity as well, it's like, let's just talk about like the emotional up and down wave. Let's just say that we're a surfer and we go up on the up wave and it's super fun. Then we go on the down wave and somehow we end up bottoming out in the ocean. So if we would have known that we would have bottomed out in the ocean prior to starting that experience, we probably wouldn't have started surfing that wave, right? So that's kind of like with this waiting out the emotional experience is like, maybe a day might give you enough experience or time to get some emotional clarity, but sometimes people need a day, a month, a year, 10 years, to get that clarity on some of the things that they need to do. So when we're talking about the emotional solar plexus, this energy, it's juicy. If people ask you to do something, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the most ridiculous experience that we could ever have. The job of a lifetime has just been offered to you. You've been wanting it forever. You've been working towards it your whole life. Obviously, you want to instantly say yes. But dafids, I just told you that your energy is literally the opposite of instantaneous. You do not have an instantaneous bone in your body. Like at all. At all. You don't have the consistent access to the instantaneity. And yeah. Whatever that word that I was supposed to use there. So you were offered this job and you're like, obviously I want to take it. Yeah, I'm going to say yes immediately. But I just told you that when you're in that emotional upwave, it's not really a good time for you to make a decision. So what a person with their emotional solar plexus defined should be doing, they should be saying, all right, HR person who just offered me the job, can you give me the weekend to think about it and I'll let you know on Monday? And, there's two things that could happen. Either you have the weekend to think about it or the opportunity falls through. And you're like, well, that's really scary because like this is obviously the job that I've wanted for a lifetime. I want to say yes immediately. I'm super excited. Yeah, I want to say yes immediately, but like for you, it's very important that you take a moment to like understand if you respond to working for these people, maybe for some reason, like over some clarity, you're like, for some reason, I'm saying, I can't, even though it's the job of a lifetime. Who knows what might happen when you get clarity over the weekend. So, yeah, either two things can happen. Like I said, either one, you make your decision, or two, the offer crumbles. And this could be any offer in life. But listen, I would prefer that it would crumble within a weekend of clarity than after I had made an instant decision. Because imagine if you had instantly jumped upon that offer and you had instantly quit your old job and you got on top of getting your stuff out of the office. You said your farewells because you were starting your new job on Monday, but over the weekend they're like, I'm sorry, the contract's no longer available. And you quit your job and they fell through. So, when opportunities fall through and you are taking your reasonable time to get clarity, it's actually for your benefit that things fall through. It's your energy protecting you. So, like I said, sometimes you need a half a day, sometimes you need a night, sometimes you need a year, sometimes you need 10 years. So, whatever's correct for you. Now, the only last thing that I can describe as clarity or choice making as a person who has an emotional solar plexus is that, let's just say you have 13 options for you to do. Well, maybe door number 7 is the one that you have most clarity on, and you need to make a decision. You need to go with whatever door number 7 is because that's the one you have the most clarity on. So let's summarize this. Making a decision away from the original ask is important, so you have time to allow your energy to make a decision on clarity to see if it's proper for you to partake in or not. Dafids. So let's put this together. I mean, we already talked about the request from like an employer, but let's just say you want a puppy because they're so cute and lovely and they're so cuddly. I mean, of course, like on the emotional upwave, you're gonna want a dog, and so you get one. And then like you didn't go on the emotional downwave and you're like, oh my god, I have to walk it every day and it shits in my house and it pees on my bed and now it barks when I want to sleep and this dog. Is it really a correct decision for you? So it's very important that you use your energy to make decisions instead of trying to force your energy based on what you think you should be doing. So, a question is asked to you. Hey, can you hold on while I get some clarity on that? Can I let you know later? And if people are like, yo, I need an answer now, fuck them. They're not meant to be in your life. If they're angry because they don't have instantaneous access to your energy anymore, fuck them. So, it's really easy to instantaneously want to act on the things that people ask us to do. But remember, I told you, you're not a person who is instantaneous. You're supposed to wait to get clarity. Now, that is actually part 1 of our experience, Dafids. I'm going to move into the brain candy aspect of this experience. I'm going to tell you that here over in your undefined spleen, that's one reason as to why you are not instantaneous. But you might feel the pressure to be risky. And you might want to feel like you need to relieve that pressure to be risky. So that's number 1 as to why you are not instantaneous. Number 2 is that your actual energy in life requires you to get clarity in order for you to understand what's correct for you. So you need to wait. So you have to. You're not instantaneous. Now, of course, if you're in life-threatening situations, you obviously know what to do. But because you're a split definition as well, I'm not going to go into what split definition is. But long story short, this stuff up here is disconnected from this stuff down here through right here, the 43. So, you know, your energy has one piece of energy to talk to, two pieces of energy to talk to before you get your clarity of what you've responded to. So imagine it took me that long to explain it in words. Imagine how long it's going to take your energy to actually assimilate and structure what it is you need to be able to do to get that clarity. So, what is 43? 43 is, so in life, dafids, I just want to reiterate, you're not supposed to be this instantaneous person. And I see this in 3 different regions in your body, and that's just on the surface level. So that's just the surface level where you're, don't make people make you feel guilty about having your own timing. But of course, you need to adhere to TOS of life, so we have to be reasonable humans at the same time. Katie said I don't have to do it. No, you need to make sure you're a reasonable human as well. Now, before we go on to the next things that I'm about to say, I need to remind you guys that just because you know how to use your energy now, it doesn't mean that you're impervious or have blinders onto negative things in life. No, it just actually helps you move through negative things in life much easier, with ease, with confidence, and kind of like a sense of peace, I guess you would say. So, so we're going to be talking about the profile, and we're going to be talking about your incarnation cross, dafids. So your profile and your incarnation cross. Firstly, your profile is your behavioral costume in life. So this is how you see yourself or how life sees you. And your incarnation cross is your purpose. So the whole reason why we've been talking this whole darn time is because if you understand how do you say your yes and no, your strategy and authority, your and while gaining clarity of what you said or to, and if you follow those, you're going to allow your purpose to flow through you naturally. I know I've already said this. So if you say your and and you follow that, then you're allowing your purpose to flow through you. But if your body or your energy said or and you got clarity and you didn't follow that, and then there will be frustration when you try to force your energy. So yeah. When you follow your energy, you allow your purpose to flow through you. When you don't follow your energy, you see frustration, or when you try to force it based on what you think your brain should be doing. Okay, now let us talk about the profile and incarnation cross in a separate way. Dafids, you're more than welcome to go Google this stuff. But I need to tell you that whether I'm talking to you, I'm talking to anybody in chat, on rerun, most people don't resonate with what it says, including myself, until recently. And I've been working on this for a while. And the reason why we don't resonate with it is because all we have to do is allow our strategy and authority, or allow our energy to act its correct way, and then these things will naturally start to emerge, and then we'll start to recognize these things in us. But the reason why we don't recognize our profile in life or our purpose in life is because people, we're just a whole different version of ourselves than our true self. So we are a whole different version of ourselves when we don't recognize ourselves. So I can explain it as like, let's just say that you are on the stage of life and you are playing a character and people expect you to play a role. So let's just say you're a person who's 6'5", but your costume made by the props person was made for a person who's 4'8". Imagine if you're 6 foot something trying to fit into a costume that's for a 4'8" person. The costume might break. If it does somehow stretch, it's going to be super freaking uncomfortable. It's going to burst out of the seams. It's going to be super uncomfortable. And that's what life is going to feel like. That's what people looking at you and you looking at yourself is going to feel like. It's just going to feel uncomfortable. Your costume in life is just going to feel uncomfortable. Now, for me personally, how that was experienced was I was super uncomfortable in my body until I started saying my proper yes and no. Although I was this weight and actually 10 pounds lighter like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I didn't love myself the way that I do today because like I am who I am and I love myself for every little bitty of who I am. And I recognize my profile finally. I was trying to live a costume on a stage of life that wasn't mine. So I finally got the props person to make me a freaking costume that fit. And I'm wearing it now. And it feels comfortable and I'm happier. So the thing is that I could see the evolutionary change in my attitude towards my body when I started acting. Like it might feel different for everybody. You might feel uncomfortable in this world. You might feel uncomfortable in your space. You might feel uncomfortable. Because, like, in the spiritual world, like, I hear a lot of people say, I don't feel like I belong on this earth. And that's not necessarily like in a suicidal way. Like, it's like, I just don't feel like my body is meant to be on this earth. It just feels weird. So, yeah, that's where those kind of things exist. So, what is your behavioral costume in life? I'm going to tell you what you are. And your incarnation cross, you can Google it yourself because that's a whole different 2.5 hour reading itself. So, your incarnation cross, make sure you keep in the right angle cross and make sure that you keep in the numbers at the end because it matters. So, for those of you who are going to be Googling your own incarnation cross, if it says left angle or juxtaposition, make sure you keep those in and keep the numbers in at the end as well. Like I said, guys, you may not resonate with this. It just might seem like a bunch of jargon. Your profile and your incarnation cross. Why? It's just because we're not living our true self yet. And you just have to make proper decisions one moment by one moment so that you can start being more in alignment with who you are and wearing the proper costume in life. All right, so dafids. What's interesting is that you are a hermit networker. Oh, I'm a hermit and I got a network. Fuck. So, your natural energy is to be a hermit. You are a natural at something. You are here to be called out on your mastery. You're going to have a lot of different calls in life, so you got to make sure that what you respond to is with clarity because people are just going to call you out on stuff all the time. So, you are meant to be in your little hermit hole and like work on stuff and people are going to see you. It's literally like being in a house that has no blinds on and you're in here with the lights on. People are outside seeing you. So it doesn't surprise me that you have this in your profile, being this hermit, because dafids, in our chat, you are called out. You hermit yourself inside my chat. You would just put little eyes, and that's it. You would hermit yourself. But guess what? You are one of the biggest seen hermits in our chat. People called you out of your hermit hole. In our chat in this community to the point where you have said more than just eyes. And you have found a bit of your network here because of it. I believe, unless you feel otherwise. Have you responded to clarity with that? About this whole community? Well, you must have because you have over a month of watch time at this point. So, I'm sure you resonate with that. You literally were being your hermit self, being your master at what you do, and like daylight calls you out. DJ calls you out as your gambling buddy, you know? So it's like you're going to be called out a lot in life. Just you need to make sure that when you're called out that you're making the proper decisions or you're responding to life and getting clarity with what you're being called out on. Because you're here to have a harmonious life. You're not to be up in all that drama. So when you do have a network, it's going to be the proper network. Your network is going to call you out. So are we your network calling you out? Are you dropping more music in Discord because we're calling you out? Because that is what you're master of? Is that what you're the talent of? Sorry, is that what you're the jack of all trades of? Is music? What is your jack of all trades? So, you are a networker. You're here for opportunities. So you're here like, oh, well, I can't drop this job until I have another job in line. I can't drop this thing until I have another thing in line. So that's what that's kind of like about. And regarding your network, it's like, I resonate with this. So like, you'll allow people to have chances. But if they burn you, screw you. You're not allowed in my network. I gave you chances, but you burned me. Screw you. You're not allowed in my network. You're officially ostracized. Like, screw you. So if people don't have an opportunity for you, then you might be done with them, and some people might find that offensive. Dafids, you have like the basic few in your life that is going to be that like that support for you, and then you're just gonna have many around you. So you are, even though you're a hermit, you do have a network, and you're like, oh god, but like you have this mastery, and that's how you're gonna have that mastery called out, is by your network. That's how you're gonna externalize your hermit self, is into your network, and that's how. Yeah. Yeah. So you have a fixed way of thinking. So sorry, you have a fixed way of inspirationally receiving information. You have a fixed way of conceptualizing the information you receive. You have a fixed way of externalizing it all. You have a fixed way of identifying with your identity, direction, and love in life. And you have a fixed way of knowing when enough is enough. You have your own timing and adrenaline in life, and you have a very fixed way of knowing your own emotions. Now let's talk about the white. So this is like what you put out into the world. So it's like the satellite putting out like the frequency, and like these white is like what you take in life. It's like an open window. It's like what you receive, so it can be distorted and stuff. Their frequencies could have been crossed or whatever. So these like I said, your split definition, you are most likely going to try to structure things in life. You are going to try to have breakthroughs and insights about the things in life. So these may not be as much of an influence in your life, but I'm still going to mention them. You may try to hold on to things that are no longer healthy for you, or you may get rid of things that are healthy for you and you're not self. So if you're trying to force life, that's what you might be doing. Or if you're trying to force life, you might be trying to force your control, or force your worthiness, or force your deservingness, or force how you can prove that you can hold on to things that are no longer healthy, or you can prove that you can do it by yourself. You don't need anybody's help. But those are not self. You know, you don't have anything to prove to anybody. You don't have to go harder, better, faster, stronger. Even if you're asked to do it, the commitments that you are going to be making in life need to be committed through making decisions through and getting that clarity around that. But once again, the most pressure that you're going to feel in life is try to structure things, or like try to have this insight about the thing about breakthroughs that you might want to have. So we have actually ran over all of the things in your particular chart over here. So we're actually going to push over into the sun. What is your 70% that you put out into the world? You are a person. This is where 59 is. So remember, you're a hermit, and 70% of what you put into the world and what you identify with is shyness and self-imposed barriers. That's what you put out into the world, and that's okay. A preferred and natural separateness that protects against the inevitable instability engendered by union, the restriction of the sex drive to maintain separateness. That is 70% of what you put out into the world. And then this 20 is right here. So what's interesting is that although you're a hermit and you're here to be shy and you're here to literally have these self-imposed barriers, this is about your voice in the now and your network over here. And you may not even identify with it at all, like at all. And I'm just giggling because it just must suck when we don't identify with who we are. So this is called application. Recognition and awareness that can only be transformed into action in cooperation with those who have the ability to act upon the understanding. The teach whose students transcend him, where the expression of awareness can only be turned into action through others. So you are a teacher. So it says you're the teacher. So apparently you're a hermit who is here to be in the now about your teachings, about your shyness. So I'm sorry, I'm just giggling because, like, you're a teacher who's shy. You're a teacher who's meant to be a hermit. You're a teacher who's a hermit who's meant to have the network. It's like, ooh, I could definitely see some conflict going on there. So make sure you're using your energy correctly so that you can express yourself in the best way. Shyness is what's correct for you. Being a hermit is what's correct for you. And gaining clarity and not being instantaneous is what's correct for you.